For years now, there's been this different international response where a lot of Western countries like the US are trying to isolate Burma, while the Asian countries seem more to engage them. Is that a problem to have these two different responses?
It has been a problem, but the Asian countries, especially those from the ASEAN countries, are like fed up because they're being held hostage. You know, all their relationships with Europe and the States and other trading partners held hostage by this rogue nation amongst member amongst them. So it's not that different I mean, it's still different, but it's the gap is closing because of what's happened in the last week.
It seems in a way that especially without China, and to a lesser extent Thailand and India, there's no way that any group of countries can apply enough pressure if that natural gas is still being bought and feeding income into the government. Do you look to China and then maybe India and Thailand as the key?
Actually, for me, my personal feeling, I don't care about India and Thailand. I care China. Because China is the key. Because China holds the veto power at the Security Council. China is the only one who can save the junta effectively from the UN Security Council action. India does not have. So China is a key for that.
If there could be one thing that's different in a month, and that to you would be a sign that things are really going in the right way, what is that one thing you'd want to know has happened?
I would say unconditional talks with the opposition. It doesn't even have to be Aung San Suu Kyi, but with representatives of the so-called opposition, ethnic leaders, monks, students, but unconditional talks.
Yeah, me too. We are expecting to have the political dialogue in Burma. So if they can sit down together and they can solve the problem by discussion and compromise and negotiation, we will be happy.
So with everything you've seen, you still have faith that this junta can form the government that you could go back and live in?
Yeah.
Not form a government. I mean, this junta could evolve into, power sharing to start with. And, I mean, that's what Indonesia did. That's what other countries did. They're not forming. They're the de facto government now, the illegitimate de facto government.
When I say form a government, you'd certainly want elections, right?
We had elections, of course, in 1990.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I would say form a government. Either that 1990 government comes out of exile, although almost 25% of them are no longer alive, or you have new elections.
That will be decided by the dialogue.
Again, the
among
dialogue
key
will decide
actors.
that probably will be one of the means.
Yeah.
And what the junta, they've got this mass organization called USDA, nothing to do with Agricultural Department of the United States, but it's a mass organization that they force teachers and bureaucrats and all to join in order to get their jobs and whatnot. And they're going to probably turn that into a party, their party. But what people that tell us is that people join because they're forced to. So when it comes to elections, doesn't mean they're going to vote that way.
Yeah. Well, they got 82% of the vote, and it didn't matter. I would want to.
Can you imagine other countries that would have that had 82% of the seats actually,
Right.
not being able to take over?
Yeah,
And that's why I'm amazed that still today, 17 years later, I'm sorry, my math's
19
wrong,
years.
19 years later,
but
that you're still saying, let's talk. That you're still saying, I think that I might be able to trust this person.
No, we are in the reality. Like Ahmad said, this 450,000 strong army will not disappear. They will be there. We have to work with them. We have to live with them. We have to work together with them. Then we're going to establish our anger and the fight going on for the future generation. That is why if we fight endless, then nobody will win.
I think yes. Many of even the ethnic leaders who were fighting the civil war and all, they've come to the conclusion that it's a political solution. Military solution is not the way. The violence is not the way. So Aung Din is right. But the reason I think that people still talk about the regime as being part of the future, we have no choice, and they're quite powerful, and they're everywhere. As I say, they're the only institution that has been allowed to get stronger and stronger.